My parents limited me to 100 words per day. 20 years later, they tried to silence my daughter. My parents believed children should be seen and not heard, so they made it literal. Starting on my 5th birthday, I was only allowed to speak 100 words per day inside our home. If I went over, I didn't eat. Mom carried a clicker everywhere and counted every single word that came out of my mouth. If I said, "Good morning, Mom and Dad," that was 4 words gone before breakfast. If I asked, "Can I have some juice, please?" that was 6 more. By lunch, I'd usually be down to 50 or 60 words, and I'd have the whole rest of the day to get through. I learned to point at things instead of asking. I learned to nod and shake my head. I learned to write notes and slide them across the table. "May I be excused?" written on a napkin saved me 4 words that I might need later. I never knew when I'd need to speak. What if something bad happened and I'd already used my words? What if there was an emergency and I had nothing left? So I started saving them and going entire days using only 10 or 20 words just in case. Teachers thought I was mute. Kids at school thought I was weird. I couldn't tell anyone what was happening at home because explaining would use too many words. One night when I was 8, I came home from school with a fever. I felt terrible and I wanted to tell my mom I was sick, but I'd already used 92 words that day. I had 8 left. "Mom, I don't feel good, I think I'm sick," was 10 words, so I just went to bed without saying anything. I woke up in the middle of the night shaking and vomiting, and my mom finally noticed something was wrong. She rushed me to the hospital and I had a kidney infection that had spread because I'd been hiding my symptoms for 3 days, rationing my words instead of asking for help. The doctor asked me why I didn't tell anyone I was in pain. I looked at my mom, she looked at me. I didn't say anything because she was already clicking, even in the hospital, even with me hooked up to an IV. I moved out at 18 and didn't speak to my parents for almost 10 years. I met my husband Jerome, and the first time he told me I talk too much, I burst into tears. He had no idea why. I had to explain everything: the clicker, the counting, the hungry nights. He held me and said, "You can say whatever you want for the rest of your life." We had a daughter named Marigold, and she came out screaming and never stopped. She talks constantly, narrates everything she does, asks 1,000 questions a day. I answer every single one because I remember what it felt like to be afraid of my own voice. Then my parents reached out. They wanted to meet their granddaughter. Jerome said absolutely not, but I thought maybe they'd changed. They came to visit on Marigold's 4th birthday. She ran up to them yelling, "Grandma, Grandpa, hi, I'm Marigold. I'm 4 now. Do you want to see my room? I have a unicorn named Princess Thundermane, and I named her myself." My mother's face went tight. My father winced like Marigold's voice physically hurt him. "Does she always talk this much?" my mother asked. "Yes," I said. "She's 4. This is chaos. You need to get control of her." At dinner, Marigold told a long story about a caterpillar she found at preschool. My mother started clicking her tongue, counting every word. Marigold stopped talking and looked confused. "Grandma, why do you keep making that sound?" "I'm counting your words, sweetheart. You've used too many today." "What happens if I use too many?" "You don't get dessert." Marigold's eyes went wide and she looked at me. I froze. The old fear was crawling up my throat. My father shook his head. "The rule worked for you and you turned out fine. She needs boundaries." The next morning, I came downstairs and found my mother in the kitchen holding an actual clicker. Marigold was sitting at the table crying while my mother clicked and counted. 47, 48, 49. "You're already at 50 words and it's not even 9 in the morning. At this rate, you won't get lunch or dinner." Marigold sobbed. "Mommy, I don't understand what I did wrong." Something inside me snapped completely. "Get away from my daughter." My mother jumped. She had never heard me yell. She had never heard me say more than 20 words at a time in my entire childhood. "You starved me for talking. You made me afraid to ask for help when I was sick. You stole my voice for 13 years and you will never do that to her. Get out of my house and don't come back. I have a lot more words and I'm just getting started." My father tried to interrupt.